Who's going to be the Tigers captain in 2026? I know it's only in October and it's a little bit early maybe to be talking about it, but it was a topic that came up on the live tonight with Grok and EJ, and I thought it was worth just making a quick video about, just to gauge everyone's views on who you think it could be, and even just to delve a little bit deeper into what the potential succession plan could look like. Now, Toby Nankervis, obviously been our captain for the last few years, done a really, really good job, and again, I think I've said this a few times, that I definitely put my hand up and say I was wrong with him being replaced as captain for 2025. I didn't think he was going to be able to do it, but that was more to do with the discipline side of his game, which he really honestly got under control, and it made a big difference. He was still able to be his physical, brutal self without giving away the dumb free kicks, and it was really nice. It was really good to see. And whilst Toby doesn't speak a lot publicly, he doesn't have to. That doesn't really mean much as a supporter. It's lovely to see, but I want the captain of the club to be able to speak to the playing group, to the coaches, and communicate that way, which he seems to be able to do, given he was voted in by his peers for the multiple years in a row. What I think may have changed circumstance-wise, which is what we spoke about on the show, is firstly, congratulations to Nankervis and his partner on the arrival of their son, Jack. Wonderful, wonderful news. He will be a fantastic father, but that in itself may be a bit of a catalyst for him to potentially give up captaincy for 2026. Becoming a first-time father, it's a really big deal. There's lots of things that go on, and it can be very difficult. I think there's been a few players in the past, it might have been Koch, might have been one that had struggled a little bit with the balance of family and the professional side of the captaincy of a football club and trying to get that right. And then there's the playing part of it as well. And, given Nank's age, what is he? He's 30 years old, turning 31 next year. He's obviously still got a few years left, of course, but we hope. It could be the right point in time for him in his life to just play footy and be a dad and be there for his family. He may not want to. He may want to keep captaining it, and that's okay too. I'm definitely not trying to run Nank out of a job. If he wants the job and he feels like he can still do it, honestly, he has my vote because I think he leads really, really well. But if there was to be a changing of the guard, hypothetically, which is always fun to talk about hypotheticals, I still think that Tim Taranto would be the one that fits the mould. There's probably not many others, but we're probably in a very awkward age bracket stage where there's not too many more. I mean, a lot of people in chat were saying Nick Vlosten, and whilst I wholeheartedly agree, I'm pretty confident that Nick has said a few times on record that he has no interest in the captaincy. Dion Pressia, obviously, in the latter part of his career. Lynch, the same. Jaden Shaw was in the leadership group this year, but I don't think would be in line to do captaincy. Nathan Broad, well, I think he's already said that 2026 is his last year, so that rules him out. Then you get down to Taranto and Hopper, who've obviously played, about 150-odd games thereabouts. Noah Bolter would be entering that category as well, but he probably doesn't fit into the captain mould. Jack Ross is probably next in line from a games perspective, and then it drops off massively from there. So I think if we're looking at an age profile and a game profile, if Nank was to relinquish the captaincy in 2026 at his discretion, like I don't want anyone to be pushing him out, it's just if it's his call, then I still think that Tim Taranto would be the likely one to step up and take over. What's then interesting to try and work out is how long does Taranto do it for, and what does the succession plan after that look like? And that's where I think the more of the chunky discussion is. So Taranto is 27 years old. He'll be 28 in January. He might play till he's 34, 35 potentially, depending on how injuries and things like that go. I don't know, is that too long? I'm not sure. Maybe I've pulled a further number out, but we'll call it 33. So that's 27, 20, 30. So that's like a 5-year stint as captain. He's kind of the perfect in-between guy, but then within that time, within that 5-year period, there'll be players that we've already got on our list coming through the ranks, including the Cubs from last year, who some of them might be in a position to be considered, which we'll talk about shortly. And there could be some from, a couple of years earlier from the draft class, like the one that sticks out, the one name that kept popping up to be a future captain, and it's not someone I'd ever considered personally, but so many people were flagging him as an option, was Sam Banks. Now, I didn't know this at the time, but apparently he had captained the under-16s, and it might have been under-18s side in Tasmania. And EJ especially and a few others have pointed out that if you actually watch his demeanour and mannerisms on the ground, he's very good directively, always very vocal and pointing and doing all that kind of stuff. And I know the club have internally held Banks in high regard for a long time. And as a club, we do have a bit of a knack of drafting people who have been leaders or captains of clubs along the journey because of whatever reason. It just seems to be one of the boxes that players tick for us. So he was just an interesting candidate. And like I said, in chat, a lot of people were getting behind him. So firstly, I'm keen to hear everyone else's thoughts on the video. What would everyone think about Sam Banks being a potential future captain in, let's say, the next 5 years? So by that stage, Sam Banks would be about 26, 27. He'd be well and truly into he should be near the 100-game area. And it could just be an interesting one to consider. But then I suppose behind him, you're kind of then getting into the younger players like your Sam Lawlers, maybe your Josh Smiley. Jonty Fall was a good one that was raised by EJ and Grok in the similar mold to what Jonathan Brown and Nick Rewalt led by. How courageous they were with their marking, their running power, their physicality, and just their ability to sort of put a team on their shoulders as the big bustling forward is very inspirational. And I can definitely see that happening with a Jonty Fall. I don't know what his other leadership qualities are like, whether he's done that before, but I think from an actions side of things, he could definitely fit the bill. Sam Lawler's obviously the other one that sort of screams ticking the boxes right from the get-go. I guess my only thought here, do you just want him to play footy? There's going to be extra pressures of captaincy. We obviously saw Koch get the captaincy really young. Maybe didn't handle it as well as he wanted to in the early years, and that's no fault of his own. He was just inexperienced and young. So the same thing may happen with Lawler, but then as we saw with Koch, he really got into warmed into the role well and was exceptional at it by the end of it. So there's not to say that can't happen with Sam Lawler, but I'm just wondering if we're more inclined to just let him play footy and just let him concentrate on that. But maybe he ends up being a natural fit. Josh Smiley's another one who would have leadership qualities written all over him. Obviously, we want him on the field first and foremost, but he would be another one that would be in the thick of it. And then if we were to draft someone like Dyson Sharp, for example, he's got leadership qualities written all over him too. So we have a few options within the ranks, I guess, when we're looking into the future side of things. Keen to hear what everyone's thoughts are on who would you pick from the younger crop. Do you bypass a Banks and go to one of the younger guys? It's a really interesting way to see how it works out. On top of that, another question was posed to us in the live chat about who would the leadership group be for this year? Would you make any changes from 2025? So the leadership group from last year, so you had Nankervis as captain, Lynch, Short, Broad, and Taranto were the vice captains. So what would change from there? I mean, let's say in the hypothetical world, let's say that Taranto took over as captain. I wonder where we would go to for the vice captains. I mean, Lynch, Broad, and Short don't have many years left playing. Is it worthwhile then putting some of the younger guys in there, like a Sam Banks, like a Ben Miller even, maybe a Ryan Mansell who has shown leadership around the club and off-field as well, and even on-field to an extent? Would it be worth putting a sort of a middle tier or younger brigade in as the vice captains so they could still be supported by the older guys who are at the twilight of their career and get a bit more on-the-job learning experience before they depart the footy club? I think it could be worth having them actively there to help them into that role and just oversee things and make it all work. So interesting topic. Keen to hear what everyone thinks. There's no real right or wrong answer. And again, I'm more than happy for Nank to do this again if he thinks he's capable and wants to. There obviously does come a time where we will have to hand the baton over, but it's just interesting to see what options there might be available. So let us know what you think in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe for more Richmond content. And until the next one, go Tigers.